This will be an unboxing and brief overview on the GIGABYTE GTX 570. Now this is their overclocked version, and the specific model number is GV-N570OC-13I. Now this is GIGABYTE's own interpretation of it. It has a custom core, as we can see it's the wind-forced vapor chamber design, 20% lower temperatures, 3 fans, going to keep this card nice and cool. On the back we can see all the NVIDIA technologies that we get with any high-end NVIDIA card. We have PhysX by NVIDIA, a graphics authorized partner, as we should probably hope so, NVIDIA CUDA, which is their parallel processing architecture, which allows for a lot faster encoding of videos with software that supports it, etc. And NVIDIA SLI support. Also NVIDIA 3D Vision Ready, compatible with Windows 7, the vapor chamber design. You can see a small diagram of the wind force anti-turbulence cooling. Pure copper heat pipes, vapor chamber, which is basically a flat heat pipe and transfers the heat away from the GPU core and then will cool once it's been dissipated by the fans in the heatsink. Anti-turbulence inclined fans, that will mean they're a lot quieter fans, and ultra-quiet pulse width modulation fans, yes there. Ultra durable VGA, now this is the main difference between this particular revision of the motherboard and the NVIDIA reference design card that GIGABYTE had, because it has 2 ounces of copper in the PCB, which is up to 10 to 30% more better overclocking capability, 10 to 30% power switching loss, less than that, and less 5 to 10% less GPU temperature. We have main features powered by NVIDIA GeForce GTX 570, which effectively, with core count and relative clock speed, is basically a GTX 480. Now, it doesn't have great big dirty heat pipes and a giant heat sink sitting on the top of the card because of the vapor chamber design, which is quite pivotal change in the way that graphics cards cooled. It's a little bit more expensive to produce a vapor chamber cooler than just a lot of heat pipes, but it does make the card a lot more usable in, let's say, SLI configurations, rather than having this massive 3 triple slot cooler to cool the GPU even relatively well. We can see there's 2 ounces of copper in the PCB, 1 tier Samsung Hynix memory, solid Japanese capacitors, ferrite core metal chokes, and low RDS MOSFETs. Let's unbox this card. You can see there's the model number. This card does come with 1280 megabytes of GDDR5 memory, so that will be ample frame buffer for any games that you're playing that have a lot of textures, etc, etc. We open the box and we find a mini HDMI to HDMI cable, a motherboard installation guide with software and drivers disk. Yes, and it includes drivers for XP, Vista, Windows 7, and DirectX 9 C runtime installation. With a manual, very brief, and then we have adapters. And we have dual Molex to 8-pin. This card does require an 8-pin and a 6-pin, because it is effectively a GTX 480. 480 required an 8-pin and a 6-pin. And then dual Molex to 6-pin power adapter if your power supply doesn't support PCI Express power connectors. But if it doesn't, you should probably upgrade your power supply. And then, if you will be using it, a DVI to VGA adapter. Now, the only time using this would be, even partially acceptable is if you had sort of an old VGA monitor and you're using it as a secondary screen, which I personally use. Then we have the card itself in an anti-static bag. Now remember to ground yourself before handling any electrostatic sensitive devices, because it can damage them. Okay, we have the card itself. We have the 3-fan turbine cooler design. You can see the model number here is the PCI Express X16 interface. We have the back panel with 2 DVI, these are full-length DVI, and 1 mini HDMI. Note, you can only use 2 of these 3 at any given time because there is a limitation in the output display, so you could use the 1 DVI, mini HDMI, or 2 DVI, but not all 3. Then we move around, you can see the vapor chamber cooler right there that comes in direct contact with the GPU core and then dissipates that heat outwards, and then is carried by heat pipes out to fins of the radiator, and then these fans dissipate the heat. You can see here we have a massive, colossally sized heat pipe which will definitely increase the cooling of the card. On the back, for some reason, we can see a blue PCB with Gigabyte's higher end motherboards. They're starting to make matte black PCBs. Yet to do that for the VGA edition. Basically, the reason because this is because they have ultra durable technology in their PCB. That's why they create their own and not use the reference design from NVIDIA. We can see the memory solder points where there would be associated memory on the back with the GPU core, with the cooler as attached by. We can see that there is a 6-pin and an 8-pin power connector, 2 SLI bridge, so you can do up to 4-way SLI with this card. We have a full expansion for cooling, though the way that this card is set up, you will get a lot of cooling inside of your case. So you might want to consider your case and your fan set up to how you have the card exhaust, because it will primarily, if you have it installed like this, exhaust out the side here and then outwards the rest of your case. So you might want to make sure you have enough cooling to keep this card cool, even with its high-end, very high-performing cooler. Thanks for watching the unboxing of the Gigabyte GTX 570, the GV-N570OC-13I.